Alex. To continue our conversation about LMIA process, we have collected more questions. What are the rights and obligations for foreign workers employed under LMIA?
Very good question. And by the way, for viewers who missed our part 1 about LMIAs, I strongly recommend to watch it. And because Maria collected very good questions, and this is very good too. So let's jump into part 2. First of all, they prescribe in the LMIA application and in a job offer based on that LMIA application, and they have to follow those requirements strictly. Location of work, time of employment, wage, all the duties. If inspection come in, then they have to be able to be there and explain what they do. So those things seem formal, but sometimes people neglect them, or sometimes companies employ people not to the position where they got LMIA for.
What is the process for renewing an LMIA, and how often it must be done?
Well, as long as it takes for employer to keep the position, because obviously prerogative of this program is to have, well, what we call skills transfer and knowledge transfer. So idea for hiring foreign worker is to bring knowledge or temporarily, this is very critical, temporarily replace Canadians working at this occupation, at this location, at this place. Definitely extension is not possible like extension. People must understand that it must be new application, which must prove that still no Canadians available. And if some requirements updated in the meantime, they have to be met by the employer. And definitely employee must still be able to perform the job. And especially it's related if some kind of promotion happen. So people cannot be promoted before the employer applied for new LMIA. So there is no extension, but we have cases where employer was unable to replace very unique foreign worker, and the record probably like 5 extensions, so 10 years. People ask why the person didn't apply for, let's say, permanent residency, or, well, he was from a similar country as Canada. He just found good job here and he enjoyed his life. And when finally he decided to go back, he went back, but he wasn't interested in PR. But most likely people after 1 or 2 periods of LMIA collect enough experience in Canada, maximize their points and apply for PR. So extension is not possible. New LMIA is quite possible. That's what we do all the time.
What compliance measures must employers adhere to once an LMIA is granted?
Well, that's a very good point, because the penalty for violation of LMIA rules, I think, still at about $100,000 level for violation. So far they're rare, but people who are interested can go through immigration website where they have actually blacklist of employers. By the way, it exists. So compliance are also prescribed in the LMIA application. And what Service Canada is doing, they go through compliance audit. So basically they can approach a company, request all the documents, and see if the employee or foreign worker who was hired on this position under LMIA terms, following those LMIA terms from both sides, from employee and from employer. And if employer in violation, well, the risk they have definitely to lose the right to apply for LMIA ever again. So those are very serious measures, because people take it lightly. And thank you very much for bringing this question up.
How can immigration consultants and lawyers assist in ensuring a successful LMIA application?
Well, let's start with compliance, because people apply for something with the government. They usually have what we call one-time shot. If you do something wrong, you can be blacklisted, you can lose it. Maybe you can lose the employee, very valuable for you. So applying the right way is critical. And with ever-changing landscape of legal documentation requirements, it's simply hard to follow. because people do their job, right? So let's say it's a forestry company or hotel operation. We have many industries we cover, and definitely you need to know requirements not only for LMIA in general. Next layer is industrial requirements, maybe unions involved, maybe something. So all these requirements, how, let's say, hard-working business owner can know all of that. So the role of the legal support, legal representation is critical, and we definitely go a little bit beyond as third-party representatives. That's how representative called for LMIA application. We supervise the whole process. We even go through interview together, and many times, actually, that fact that we were present during interview allow people to proceed because we were able to kind of answer questions very fast right on the spot without going through extensive amount of communication that may lead to rejection very easily if people respond not the right way. So I think compliance is critical, understanding of current requirements is critical, proper application type and proper, let's say, wage and other requirements is critical, because if somebody didn't do it before, how they know all the requirements and how they know what officers do. And by the way, for listeners, we started working with LMIA in 2002. Just imagine going back of almost 25 years. So at the time, you can walk to Service Canada on a local municipal level and talk to the officer in person, maybe even adjust some application data right there. An application was like 2 pages. So that time is gone. And now, if everything is done electronically without any right to correct, and time is extensive, so much at stake. So that's why working with right lawyers, right consultants is critical. And I think we probably have one of the best track records on the market so far.
Dr. Alex, what do you think about potential future changes to the LMIA program?
Well, very good question, because some changes were just announced. Government of Canada, at least this current government, promised to bring significant changes to LMIA process. One of the speculations is that in 3 years, LMIA-based work permits will be eliminated. I honestly don't know how they want to achieve that without violating rights of employees and rights of employers. So that is something we have to see how they will implement, because politicians, they promise so much, but in reality, everything just hitting this roadblock of legal requirements, how it works, how it corresponds with the Act, Immigration Act of Canada. So certain things easy to say and promise. If you're a politician, you can just do that. But if you're a real practitioner, you have to be very careful. So practicality, LMIA getting more restricted. Definitely legal help required now. We're filing LMIAs, that's for sure. Where are we going? We're going towards probably more LMIA exemptions when certain companies don't have to go through. It's one of the new initiatives for the government. They introduced this 5-year work permit for highly skilled workers. So, but again, those requirements are related to higher standards for employers and employees as well, because people sometimes say, well, I don't like to have LMIA, get me LMIA exemption. Well, we have to be careful, because not every person qualified for LMIA exemption. It's either super managerial role or some special skills involved. So you have to be careful and reasonable too. So potential for LMIA, where it goes, more restrictions, and definitely more complications, and definitely more LMIA exemptions rules. So those things are there on the market, and I hope we will be there with our clients as well.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you
answers.
for good questions.